Hello, welcome to episode 70 of Your Ultimate Comeback. It's just me today. Raquel is still away, watching her daughter play at Cal Poly. We're rooting on Quinn, hoping she's doing well. Today, I want to really dive into a little bit around training. And this comes from a lot of the comments and questions I get, people seeing the weight rooms posts on Instagram. And I get it. Our industry has really led us to believe that unless you're going crazy hard, sweating a ton, get to the end of the workout and feel like you're going to die, you're not training hard enough. You're not getting the benefit that you need. Everyone's correlated max effort to max result. And I love to share this story from a few years ago. I was training this gentleman at a gym where there was class-based scenarios going on, and I'm training my guy. We're training lower body, and he's getting through his workout. And this gentleman comes out of a class, and he's just drenched in sweat, like huffing and puffing. I mean, looking like he's about ready to have a coronary heart attack. He's just smoked. And he walks by and he looks at my guy and he's like, hey, you need to start training harder, man. Like, you're not even sweating right now. Like, what? You're wasting your time in here. And my guy was a little taken back. He's like, oh, I don't know. I'm just doing what Brad's telling me to do. And I said, whoa, hang on a second. I said, here's what my client looked like 6 months ago. And I literally showed him a picture. And this guy had lost 35 pounds. I said, what did you look like 6 months ago? And he kind of hemmed and hawed, and I said, no, I'm serious. Like, if you're going to come over here and critique my client for not working hard enough and these are the results he's getting, you must be getting stellar results. And he just kind of said, oh, and kind of shook it off and walked away. I really, really believe that effort is not the answer. I really believe there are a few things that really matter to get great results from your fitness. And I see a lot of people that are training super hard, beating themselves up day in and day out. I just got off a call with a lady who's working out 3 times a day and is just stuck. And everything's super intense, super hard. But her body fat's not going down. She's not getting the results she wants. What I've learned is this, is that it takes a lot of strategic effort to get results with people when it comes to working out. I want to start with outside of the gym. Your lifestyle really matters. What you're doing outside of the gym is just as important, if not more important, than what you're doing inside the gym. Because the majority of the time, your life is spent outside of the gym. It's either helping it or hurting it. And we talk a lot about these things on this podcast, right? You got to make sure you're drinking enough water. Half your body ounces of water a day really helps support the metabolism. You got to make sure you're eating enough protein. You know, everyone talks about 1 gram per pound. That's the ideal spot to try to hit. I kind of find it to be 0.6 to 0.8 grams per pound. If I can get people into that window, we're going to win. Sleep is hypercritical. If you're not getting 7 to 9 hours a night of sleep at night, you're not recovering. Your body's not resting and replenishing itself. You're going backwards, not forwards. If you are not sleeping enough, exercise can actually be detrimental, not helpful, because you're waking up in the morning with more stress hormones in your bloodstream than you had the day before. You haven't even started the day. So if you start with high stress hormones, you go beat yourself up to drive more high stress hormones, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well at all. So make sure you have those things in play. Those really help support the metabolism. But when it comes to actually training, there are a couple things that make our videos online look boring. Most exercise videos online, we look at classes, are super exciting. People are jumping around, screaming, hooting, hollering, sweating all over the place, moving really fast, jumping all over the place. I believe tempo is one of the most critical components to exercise. Tempo meaning the speed at which you're moving in your exercises. There's a few things that I want to avoid. One, I want to avoid injury in the gym. The faster you move, the more likely you are to get hurt, the higher the risk is of getting hurt. So one thing you won't see us doing is you will not see anybody in our gyms jumping around. Our high-level athletes, there will be periods of time where they are doing plyometric training for sport-specific responses to improve that type of speed and power. But what I watch and what I see in most training scenarios is that people that are jumping aren't even jumping right. As they go to jump up, they're pushing their arms down. So they're trying to drive their force up into the sky, but at the same time, they're driving their hands down to the ground. And that leads to a poor scenario. All it's doing is getting the heart rate up really fast in an environment that high speeds can lead to higher risk of injury. And those injuries in a plyometric state typically tend to be pretty bad. So we don't jump. We use controlled tempos to protect the body. So if you notice in the videos, if you've seen our videos on Instagram, Our Instagram is the weightroom_NB. If you want to see some of these videos I'm talking about, you'll notice that people are lowering the weight slowly, lifting the weight quickly. When you lower the weight slowly, you're creating more of an environment to protect the joint from injury. I'll use an extreme example of how I would use this at a more extreme level. When I was training with the U.S. bobsled team, competing as a bobsledder, I would train quicker because it's a very powerful, explosive sport, and I would train harder and faster until my joints would start to hurt. And then I'd go into a phase where I would actually lower the weight slow, lift the weight slow. So like I would lower the weight for 5 seconds, lift the weight for 5 seconds. It put majority of the tension on the muscular system, not much tension on the joints. The faster you're moving, the more tension there is on the joints. So I would do that for a phase to heal my joints up before I'd move back into the speed training. Well, the clientele we're working with, no one wants to be hurt. They want to feel good, they want to perform well, and they want to know they can go out and do things safely. So we always use a slow lowering. It's called an eccentric. So we're lengthening the muscle slowly and shortening or concentric or pushing the muscle, the strength fast. You control the down. There's a slower exchange you go from eccentric to concentric. Your joints are going to be much happier and much safer. So it's safer. 2, it puts a lot more emphasis on the muscle. The muscle has to work a whole lot harder when you're controlling the eccentric. It creates more of an anabolic environment within the muscle. So you'll actually get better results from the exercise by controlling the eccentric. And everybody wants results. So it's safer and it gets better results. So everything we do in our environment is controlled. It's every once in a while you'll see a higher speed movement for specific things, but you'll never see plyometric jumping in our scenarios because to me, risk versus reward is not there. If you're in an environment where you're going to be moving very explosively and you're going to be jumping and sprinting and things like that, yes, we need to mix those in. But if you're doing the general things that everyone's doing on a daily basis, we don't need to be hyper explosive. We don't need the increased risk for the small benefit in return it's going to give us. Second, rest periods are super important. When you train, it's all about challenging the muscle. So you want to challenge the muscle, let it rest and recover, and then get after it again. So you can use heavier loads repeatedly to get a better response. If you do a set, rest really quick, get right back in the next one, rest really quick, right back in the next one, the weight loads you're using are dropping. There's a critical drop-off point to effectiveness of training. If all of a sudden your weight loads are so light, we've passed what's called the critical drop-off point, you're getting nothing in return for your efforts. So we like to really challenge the muscle. Muscle mass that is trained burns calories at a higher level than anything else. So when you're challenging the muscle tissue in a training scenario, you're also doing incredible things for your metabolism. So it's safer and it's much more effective. And then the third thing, this whole idea around muscle confusion, like so many programs out there based on you're doing something different every time you walk in. And so it's just constant threat to the nervous system. It never has a chance to adapt to the stress that's being applied to it. So I'm a really big believer in progression, meaning exposing the body to the same exercises multiple times in a row before changing it all up. The first time you expose the body to a new program, it's a high stress state. The body's in a hyper awareness, high stress state. The second time you expose it to the workout, it's going to be in more of a fatigue state. The body's struggling with what it's going through. And then the third time you expose it to the same training cycle, the same workout, there's a supercompensation effect. So the body it's heightened, fatigued, and then it supercompensates. We want the body to be able to adapt to the stimulus we're giving it. So by doing that, you're getting better results over time. You're protecting your nervous system and you're not overstressing the body. I read a report, or somebody told me about a report. It was done on Olympic level athletes, wanting to see how well this idea of changing the workouts every time worked. It only worked on 7% of the highest level athlete in a positive scenario. For the other 93% of athletes, it had a negative effect on them. And these are some of the highest level athletes with the greatest nervous systems that are out there. They don't respond well to it. So general population, people like me, we're not going to respond well to that. So majority of us respond well to that progressive overload over time. Stress the body and allow the body to adapt to it and get better at it, and then you change it. It's really, really important for that to happen. And then fourth, the body can't handle a lot of different stimulus at once. So you really can't go in and get big and strong, super lean, and muscular all at the same time and throw in endurance realms. It can really only handle adapting to one of those at a time. So when you're training, and how we build our training protocols is to create adaptation to specific things. In our world, most people want body composition change. They want to bring body fat down and increase lean muscle mass. Most people in our world that come to see the weight room and train with us, they don't care about getting big and strong. They just want to look good. They want to move well. They want to increase their muscle mass a little bit because they understand the longevity benefits of that. And that's it. So we periodize and program around, okay, this phase, we're going to focus on one of those. So for example, phase 1 would be focused on optimizing fat loss. And then phase 2 would be focused on optimizing lean muscle mass. And then phase 3 would be focused on a different strategy around enhancing fat loss. And we would just progress through there. Now, even that scenario, every once in a while, we're going to incorporate a focus on enhancing strength. If you improve someone's strength, when we go back to a fat loss strategy or muscle building strategy, we'll be able to use heavier loads for that. Okay? Your body will adapt to these things. And so sometimes you need to be able to use heavier weight loads to drive more of a fat loss response or more of a muscle gaining response. So what you'll typically see us do is we'll have a fat loss 3-week phase, a muscle building 3-week phase, a fat loss 3-week building phase, a muscle building phase, and then a strength phase. It'll be something like that. But we're progressively building on those things over time. And we're really only focusing on one strength attribute at a time. We're not overwhelming the body with all these different methodologies, trying to change everything at once, because you just can't do that. Now, there are ways, like how we use our fat loss strategies, there are ways you can train that are optimizing and enhancing fat loss, but also maintaining or optimizing lean muscle mass building a little bit. And when you're in muscle mass building phases, you're enhancing muscle mass, which speeds up the metabolism a little bit. So you can maintain or enhance fat loss a little bit in those phases as well. So it's really important that you follow those things. Control your tempo. Use rest periods. Now rest periods, there's strategy around rest periods as well. When we're looking at fat loss based strategies, our rest periods are going to be from 30 seconds to 60 seconds because we're trying to utilize optimizing as much lactic acid as possible in the workout. So we go controlled tempos, higher rep ranges, shorter rest periods. We're creating that adaptation response. When we move into muscle building, rest periods are going to be more like 45 to 90 seconds. They're going to be a little bit longer. So we'll do a set, rest 45 to 90 seconds, do another set, rest up to 90 seconds, do another set. When you stay in that realm, you're giving the body time to recover from the set, to replenish itself, to be able to handle those loads again in repeated scenarios. Now, when you look at the world of strength is going to be more like 2 to 4 minute rest periods between each set. They're longer rest periods. Strength workouts are really challenging your nervous system. The nervous system needs a longer period of time to replenish itself and recover to be able to handle the loads that we're using because they're heavier loads. So you can mix those rest periods in as well. So focus on your tempo, use rest periods, and be smart about your progressions. And then last, focus on one attribute at a time. Don't try to focus on everything all at once. You'll end up driving yourself crazy. A lot of you are in that state that I'm meeting and talking with, is you're doing all these things. You're lifting weights, you're doing HIIT workouts, you're doing long cardio. And the workouts are changing all the time, so the body can't adapt to anything. That's why you're not getting the results you deserve. Raquel and I talked about this on our last podcast. I challenged them, like the way we train makes things like spin much easier. One of our members of the weight room heard it. She's like, I want to go see if that's true. She hasn't done spin in years, went into the spin class, killed it. She's like, I can't believe how easy that was. It's because she is strategically building her body. She's not abusing her body. So she has great energy surplus. The way we use our fat loss strategies optimizes the vascular system, the cardiovascular system. So when you go and challenge the cardiovascular system, it's there. It's really, really nice. So stop abusing yourself. Start being more strategic. Focus on one thing at a time. Control your tempos. Use rest periods. It's okay to rest. It's okay to feel great after your workout. I tell all my clients, you should feel better at the end of a workout than you do at the beginning of the workout from an energy standpoint when we do this right. If you got to go take a nap or feel like you're destroyed, we're probably pushing you too hard. The results aren't going to be as good. So I hope that helps. Some really good strategy around optimizing how you train yourself. If you have any questions on that, hit us up on social media, Your Ultimate Comeback Podcast. Hit me a DM and I'll get an answer to you right away if you have any questions around this. If you want to try one of our classes, The Weight Room, if you go to theweightroom.us, click on buy, you can actually get your first class for free. We would love to have you. Weight Room is a big supporter of this podcast, obviously. I mean, I'm part of both. But come try it out if you want to see what I'm talking about. We also offer 2 weeks at a $99 trial price point of unlimited classes, so you can really see what these strategies look like in a training environment, okay? Again, if you have any questions, hit me up. Have a great rest of the week.